Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she's an author, and she has a book out right now that's called Straw Feather Bones. It's an amazing book of poems, as well as, guess what? For all the Edgar Allan Poe fans out there, she is running the Poe in Lowell, which will be October 19th and 20th in Lowell, Massachusetts. I have with us Meg Smith. Meg, welcome to the Horror Room.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And by the way, the Horror Room is a sponsor of Poe and Laurel as well. So definitely, if you're out in that area, please definitely check them out. Now, Meg, let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about Poe and Laurel.
Okay, sure thing. So Edgar Allan Poe visited Lowell, Massachusetts, which is also the city that's my adopted home. And he makes 3 visits between 1848 and 1849. And it starts with basically an invitation that he receives to deliver a lecture on poetry. And that lecture is titled The Poets and Poetry of America. And this visit kind of sets in motion a series of relationships that Poe has with people in this area. And I think, as with most other places where Poe either lived or visited, there's also a certain amount of debate or perhaps even some folkloric elements to those visits. We do know that we know several things about those visits, one of which is that he did give a recitation of his famous poem, The Raven, while he was here. He did not write that poem here. That is sometimes, again, sort of a folkloric element that you will hear sometimes, but he did give a recitation of it. And at least initially when he came here, he was really kind of taken with the city. And he wrote back to I think it's worth noting that this is not too long after his wife died. And we know that that was a devastating experience for him when he lost his wife, Virginia Clem. Also around this time, we know he went through a period of considerable financial distress. And so the invitation to come to Lowell is also in part accepted because it is a financial necessity for him. He's offered a stipend to come here. But while he's here, he does become fairly impressed with the city and actually writes back to his mother-in-law speculating about whether they should think about Lowell or Richmond, Virginia as their next home. So in the premise of this festival, the idea for me is to commemorate the fact that Poe visited the city 3 times. So his connection to the city is actually fairly significant. He's one of a number of literary luminaries associated with the city. Jack Kerouac, of course, was born and raised here. And what I'm endeavoring to do is sort of raise that lantern, if you will, about Lowell, Massachusetts as a city that is part of the history of Poe, the folklore around Poe, and that Poe himself becomes part of the city's considerable literary heritage. And above all else, we hope people will come and enjoy themselves. And if they are traveling from near or far, that they take something of the mystery and dark magic of Poe with them.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Now, so when we get to Poe and Lowell, what can visitors and guests expect?
Sure thing. So Poe and Lowell is going to be a 2-day festival of events. And I'll give you sort of a quick synopsis of the main events. So it begins on Saturday, October 19th. We will have a Poe pop-up shop that is a market of some of our local authors, especially in horror and mystery, and also artisans and crafters who will have some nice Gothic related items. And of course, we know that the holiday season will soon be blowing some cold winds our way. So it's not a bad time to get started with that shopping. And that we will also have in that afternoon a free horror writing workshop with Wednesday Clevisha. He's a producer of Martian Radio Theater here. That workshop is going to take place at a very interesting tavern called the Worthen, which is associated both with Poe and Jack Kerouac. And again, there's elements of both history and mystery and folklore there. It dates back to about 1834, so that's a really fun place to have a spooky horror writing workshop. After that, in the evening with Gallery Z, that's one of our great art galleries, we are going to have a Dream Within a Dream soiree. This is also with one of 2 art exhibits that are being held in conjunction with the Poe and Lowell Festival. So that exhibit is going to have a lot of wonderful, very dreamy, goth and seasonal themed and spooky themed art. We'll have live music by Amy Beauregard. She's a great local musician. We'll also have a goth pageant as part of that, where people can show off their goth style, and we'll have some party favors and fun things like that. So Sunday, we will have a Edgar Allan Poe short story brunch at Lala Books. It's one of the great local bookstores who's supporting us. And we will have several local poets and actors and personalities reading from The Cask of Amontillado and The Black Cat, 2 of Poe's, I think, most famous and well-known short stories. After that, we're going to have a matinee showing at Luna Theater. That's our local theater here, a great local theater. They are going to show a 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. showing of The Raven. This is, of course, Roger Corman's original Raven from 1963. Roger Corman, of course, who just passed away recently. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a tribute to him. There'll be a 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. showing. The 2 p.m. showing will be hosted by Penny Dreadful. She is a very well-known horror movie TV hostess and also a podcast hostess. So she is going to be on hand as the MC for the 2 p.m. showing of that film. Yeah, it will be great fun. And she will have some games and things and surprises that we don't want to give too much mystery away for. Now that evening, our capstone event is called the Edgar Allan Poe Show. And the Edgar Allan Poe Show is actually an event that sort of started it all. I've had Edgar Allan Poe shows variously over the years since 1995. So this year we're going to have it in a great concert hall, Olympia Zorba Music Hall, where we will have 2 acts. The first act is going to be local poets and spoken word artists who will be reading aloud different selections of Poe's poetic works. In accompaniment to music by our guest musician, Todd Brunel, who's part of a jazz ensemble here. Act 2 is going to be different dancers and performance artists in the area who are each coming up with a very special performance, each performance celebrating one of Poe's short stories or poems with contemporary music. So, and throughout all of this, we will have raffles, we will have different, again, surprises and mysteries. And I want to make note, the other art exhibit that we have is going to be through the month of October. And that is celebrating the poetry and art of our local Lowell High School students. And we'll have a reception on Friday, October 18th, to mostly coincide with the student schedule. So for folks who are in town, they can come enjoy a little bit of a prelude and hopefully support our young artists and writers as well.
Awesome. It sounds like so much fun. Now, this is your first year doing this.
This is the first year of my doing it as a complete 2-day festival. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Are you nervous? Because I mean, it seems like it's going to be a lot going on. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're excited, but do you have some butterflies as well?
I will tell you that, and I'm sure you'll agree, anyone who's putting together any kind of performance or presentation and cares about the outcome of it and the quality of it and enjoyment, for sure, there's definitely a sense of, I would say, anticipation, maybe more than nervousness. That said, first of all, we have a lot of support in the community and from our sponsors, of which, of course, Horror Realm, we are grateful, is one. And also, I myself have over 30 years of experience in performance, including music, dance, poetry readings, and producing events, including for the Lowell Celebrates Kerouac Festival, which is our literary partner. And by the way, I did want to give a little shout out to them. That festival takes place the Columbus Day weekend, so the weekend prior to Poe in Lowell. And also around that, we're going to have some different prelude events that kind of link the two festivals together. And so they are our partners. They are also people with whom I've worked for a long time. My late husband was actually the president of the board of that festival. And so you do feel that you are in very good company, both with the people, if you will, among the living, the many talents who are going to be part of this in visual art, dance, music, and spoken word. That is really exciting. And also, quite honestly, the spirits of Poe and Kerouac themselves. When you stop and think about that, they actually walked the cobblestone streets of this city and brought and left some of their mystery there. That I think anyone who has any sort of too much in the way of apprehension, when you think of those things and the gratitude you have for them, as I do, I think that really replaces any sort of anxiety with gratitude and excitement.
And as you know, I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I actually been to Edgar Allan Poe's grave. He's buried here in Baltimore. And you know, we love Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, our actual football team is named him. So yes, so like definitely we're Edgar Allan Poe fans here. Now, of course, this is an indie horror show. Would there be any indie horror authors there as vendors?
There absolutely will be in the Poe pop-up shop that we're having on Saturday morning and early afternoon. There will definitely be some folks. There will be Renee Mulhare. She also goes by R.C. Mulhare. She is a local poet and also, a local author and novelist. She's also a great friend, and we met through the New England Horror Writers. And I myself will have some of my books there. And we will also have Aaron Tavares, who is the publisher of Mill Pages, which is a literary journal that's published here in Lowell, a literary and arts journal. So they will be among the folks who will be there and will have their books available. Also, Lala Books is an independently owned bookstore. That's where we're holding the Edgar Allan Poe short story brunch on Sunday, October 20th. And they are a huge supporter, I must say, of local authors. And so you will have local authors and actors reading at that event. And anyone who goes will also have a chance to browse through that bookstore and check out the many offerings there, which include our local authors.
I love it. Love it. Now, how can people purchase tickets?
Okay, so there are two paid ticketed events. One is the showing of The Raven, which is a matinee showing 2 p.m., 5 p.m. That's Sunday, October 20th. And the tickets are available directly through the website, and also people who show up that day can purchase tickets there. They're at lunalowell.com. And also, we have tickets in advance for the Edgar Allan Poe show. That's at Olympia Zorba Music Hall. Those tickets are available in advance on eventbrite.com. And they are, I should mention, $20 in advance up to October 6th. And then they're $25 after that. And they're also available the day of the show as well.
And I'll have the link in the description for anyone who wants to go ahead and pre-purchase those tickets, as you should.
Yeah, that most certainly is. I'm sure you know, Travis, that does help an event, especially an event that's being launched in this depth and breadth the first time. Certainly the advanced tickets help us to get a sense of what the attendance is going to be like. And the other events are all free admission, but having a sense of folks attending. We do have Facebook invitations out there, as well as a presence on Eventbrite that helps in terms of planning for seating and food, where we have food and so forth.
I agree. So definitely, if you want to get there, plus also too, like if you want to guarantee your seat to be able to see these amazing, performances, you definitely want to go ahead and get them in advance, because it might fill up and you could miss out. So definitely go ahead and click on those links. Now, May, listen, we're also going to talk about it. So you're a author and you write poetry. You have a new book out right now that's called Straw Feathers Bones. Do you have a copy of that in front of you? Do you want to show off to us?
I have I have the files from which I can read for sure. And
Sure.
yeah, first of all, thank you for mentioning that. I have a total of 6 poetry books, of which Straw Feathers Bones is the most recent one. And I have a short fiction collection, The Plague Confessor. And Straw Feathers Bones has been leading me on a bit of a journey. Each of these books does lead on its own journey, I find. And I have found that with Straw Feathers Bones, I've been able to delve a bit into the natural world and also where that intersects with the supernatural. And it's basically been quite a journey for me, as I think all of these books are. And I think you'll agree, or anyone who's an author out there will definitely agree. So, in fact, I was just doing a poetry reading at over at one of our wonderful poetry and spoken word series called Untitled. And that was really quite a thing to be able to do. And I'm so grateful for their support. So what I'd like to do is read for you the title poem of the book, Straw Feathers Bones. And if you would, I'd like to read that right now, if we could.
Please do.
Sure. So, Straw Feathers Bones. A man came to me and vowed to fight for justice, but still demanded the body of the rest. Before declaring as such null and void, and he died, all the same with his false tongue and withering brain. All good for nesting, all good. A skull betrayed its open crown, and the crows rushed in. And that was all scattered over a naked field, and built a good house for eggs. And soon, every field was filled with the noise of baby crows at dusk. The sky flooded with fire and gave up the night.
That's wonderful. Now, I have a question, Meg. I am always fascinated by any individual who can write poetry. How do you get your inspiration?
So I think, first of all, that is a really great question. My inspiration comes from a lot of places, and some of those are pretty simple and ordinary. In the case of Straw Feathers Bones, I will tell you, in the midst of the pandemic, although the poem's not specifically about the pandemic, I went for a walk, as a lot of us were out taking walks. Yes. And I was actually walking down to our local Dunkin' Donuts, of all things. And I just happened to look down, and there was like the strangest concoction of things on the ground. It was what appeared to be sort of an abandoned bird's nest, because the straw was very carefully arranged in a circle. And in the midst of all that was a discarded cigarette lighter. And of course, my first thought is, why would a bird be smoking in bed?
You never know. Stressed out, right?
Yeah, as we all were at that time, for sure. But it was just such a strange finding, and such a seemingly very non sequitur gathering of items there, that it sort of left an impression very much in my mind. My ideas also sometimes come from dreams, although I would say my dreams tend to probably inform my fiction as much as my poetry. Relationships with people in my life, for sure. The natural world, definitely. I find if I go walking in a field of flowers or something, it's more to me than just pretty flowers. There's some kind of drama and orchestra of life playing out there in our midst. And so sort of trying to understand that and have respect for that. And also, I would say, as much as anything, and perhaps more, I'm a first generation Irish American. My mom, who just passed away a few months ago, was born and raised in Ireland. So I have lived kind of fully in both American and Irish culture my whole life. And am grateful for the kind of dark and spooky and magical heritage that comes with that. The origins of our modern day celebration of Halloween go back to my ancestors' observance of Samhain, or the Celtic New Year. So, and we know, of course, Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula, he is born in Clontarf, which is a suburb of Dublin, and there are still houses in Dublin if you have the occasion to visit, places where he lived, and you can sort of go and check them out
Nice.
in your passing. Yeah, so I would say all of those things taken together really do inform a lot of my writing in an inspiring and gratifying and frankly humbling way.
But how do you get the words to flow? I mean, how do you? I mean, what you just read, it just flowed so beautifully. Like, I mean,
Oh,
do those words just pop in your head, or is that something you have to sit down and actually plan? You know?
oh, thank you so much. I would say, thank you so much for saying that. And of course, I'm always glad as anybody that they actually come out sounding that way, even if it doesn't sound that way when you're first writing them down. I think my plan oftentimes is just to write what seems to make sense in the case of, say, a poem, and then go back and try to look at it with an objective eye, what's sometimes called kill your darlings, which is to say you have enough emotional distance that you can make decisions like, well, this line could be shortened or perhaps even removed, things like that. So you're writing the best, cleanest, most clear poem so that it's not only clear to you, someone who reads it, maybe who knows nothing about you or your life, will read it and take something from it.
Amazing. Now, where can one find your books?
So I have an online bookstore at megsmithwriter.com. My books are also on Amazon, and they are also available. Some of the most recent titles are available at Lala Books that I mentioned, and also another great store that, by the way, is in the Mill Number 5 complex, which is also where the Luna Theater is. They're called Pop Culture, and they carry my books as well. And also, I give quite a few poetry readings and author appearances throughout the cycle of the year. And I always bring those with me. So you can also reach out to me directly. I have a Facebook page and Instagram, and folks reach out to me directly. I'm definitely happy to send the books directly that way.
Awesome. And also, too, if you're also at Poe and Lowell, Meg will have some of her books there too, that
Yes.
for you to purchase as well.
Yes, definitely. Imagine doing all that work in a festival and coming to an event and realizing your books are still at the house. I probably shouldn't even say that out loud, because I say it out loud by way of banishing it, not only for me, but for all authors, for evermore, near and far, wherever you are. May you never leave the house without your books, or your books sitting in a nice box at the bottom of the stairs. May they always travel with you. Wherever you are, writers, may your books always travel with you.
Has that ever happened to you?
Have left things behind? Goodness, I don't know any authors or artists, for that matter, who have ever driven anywhere only to say, I think there's something still sitting in the hall. I think the only remedy for that is planning ahead, especially maybe the day or the night before. Make sure you have everything together, have a checklist. If it makes sense to do so, put it in the car, or if there's a vehicle you think you will be traveling in, if you can, and just have everything in one place and ready to go. And knowing that even with life's chaotic moments, something might still come up unexpectedly, but then at least, again, you'll have your books with you.
Exactly. Well, listen, everyone, please grab copies of the book and get your behinds over to Poe and Lowell, October 19th and 20th in Lowell, Massachusetts. Meg, this has been a blast. Listen, and it's been an honor to also sponsor your event. And I mean, when you reached out to me, I was like, this is something that I think want to get behind.
It's so much appreciated, Travis. We definitely deeply appreciate Horror Realm's support, both in terms of sponsorship, which I think, as most of our listeners know, is pretty key to any indie events. And also, I did want to give a shout out to yourself and the many other friends that I have in the Baltimore area. They've actually invited me to a graveside reading coming up this winter. I believe that takes place on New Year's Eve. And so it's my hope to come down there, since we're up north, be coming down to see you all. And if I could just quickly mention, several of those friends in the Baltimore area also typically participate in a virtual event that I have in January. Poe was born in Boston on January 19th. So we have a virtual Poe birthday party at, on or around January 19th. We have it virtually because this is beautiful New England, but the weather in January is sometimes a little bit of a gamble. So, and that allows our friends in Baltimore and Texas and all over to sort of gather around a hearth of the mind to celebrate Poe's birthday.
I love it. And if you ever get down here the first weekend in October, we shut down Baltimore and we have the Edgar Allan Poe Festival, and it's pretty effing amazing.
Yes,
So
I really hope to be able to take, but my hope is to be able to do that next year if I can, or for sure come down and see you all. It's hard for me to think of a better way, honestly, to spend the New Year's Eve or winter holiday giving a toast to Edgar Allan Poe, just as at Samhain, the Irish New Year that precipitates Halloween. I hope to carve some Stindy Jacks out of turnips, which I've done in the past, and raise a toast of Jameson whiskey to my mother's spirit and all our beloved spirits who stay with us.
I love it, Meg. Listen, Meg, it's been a blast having you on. By the way, if it's your first time coming to the Harbor Room, please hit that like and a subscribe button, especially if you like Edgar Allan Poe, because we're going to be, Harbor will actually be covering the Edgar Allan Poe Festival here in Baltimore in a couple weeks. So definitely, if you want to see what it looks like and want to experience it,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And everybody listening out there, please do like and subscribe the Horror Realm show, because as Travis mentioned, that's really critical to support of like the indie productions such as yours that is giving to support to so many talents in horror, and also just the sheer love of horror as well. So please please do support them, and I appreciate everything that you do.
You as well, Meg. Listen, everybody, go down in the description. Please click on and go ahead and pre-order your tickets. If you can't, definitely get down to October 19th and 20th, and also take a look at some of Megan's amazing work as well. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. That's Meg Smith.
Thank you so much, Travis.
You're welcome. Take care.